this incredible event to celebrate Lucy. We have a pretty extensive program, which you can follow on the little place card here. And I'm actually not allowed to speak, but since I'm emceeing it, I'm going to take the liberty of saying a few words about Lucy, especially about her early childhood and what brought her to Philadelphia. So we're very fortunate. There's an autobiography that Lucy published in 2008, and it starts with, "I was the fifth and last daughter of Armenian immigrants and was born in St. Paul, Minnesota. The year my father lost his job and the country was plunged into depression." She then talks about her childhood, and she clearly had a very loving and culturally stimulating home environment. But when she entered kindergarten, she could not speak English. And so she sat on the swing in the doorway between the classroom and cloakroom and cried. Can you imagine Lucy, 5 years old, crying? But she had a wonderful teacher, Miss Strickland, who helped her, obviously, to realize that she had to speak English. Then she talks about her early childhood, and I don't know if she was a bit of a tomboy, but in the description, she had a number of accidents. Broken leg, facial laceration, from a sled crash into a tree, near drowning, and so on. Now, she didn't say what the so on was, but I shuddered. So she wasn't allowed to do any sports except walking and running, which were deemed safe. And she lived in a rather rural area outside St. Paul, and as she pointed out, in those days, we walked 3 miles to grade school, 3 miles, and 5 miles to high school. The morn of school buses had not yet dawned. And she remembers walking through the snow, through 6 to 10 inch paths of snow. So imagine Lucy walking through these snow drifts to get to school. She eventually grew up. I'm just going through some of this. And then she talks about her career, her desires. And when she was 18, her dream was to become an opera singer. And as you know, Lucy is an avid opera fan. But what happened in those teen years was she was going to go to an audition with one of the Met stars. And unfortunately, that Met star fell sick, so the audition was canceled. And Lucy, as she pointed out, in the dramatic manner of teenagers, I was so devastated that she couldn't audition to be an opera singer that I lost interest in pursuing a career in music, and my focus turned to medicine. So medicine was a default choice for her. It's turned out very well for medicine, I must say. She entered the University of Minnesota in 1947 and stayed there for 10 years, getting her education, her Bachelor of Science in Medicine, and her doctoral degree in 1957. She talks a bit about her class, and actually very interesting. This is the 50s, only 5 women in a class of 110, all of them quite different. She talks about her neuroanatomist, and she said he was a most uninspiring lecturer, and I had great difficulty in grasping the subject, for which I was given a grade of D on the mid-quarter exam, which is somewhat ironic for someone who's went into neuropathology. And I feel completely with you, because I also had a failing grade in neuroanatomy when I went to school. I hated neuroanatomy. The professor could draw with both hands, you know, the cuts through the brain. Anyhow, so I'm not a neuropathologist. Then she went she was interested in actually becoming a surgeon, and she really wanted to become a neurosurgeon. And so she spoke with the chief of neurosurgery at the time, and as she pointed out, he listened politely as I outlined my dream to become a neurosurgeon and request for advice. When she was finished explaining why she wanted to be a neurosurgeon, he leaned back in his large chair, and with a wry smile, he informed me that should I pursue such a course, I would starve. Because in his view, neurosurgery was basically a referral type of specialty, and no one would refer a case to a woman. So this is the 50s. And Lucy, as you know, has a lot of spunk. So then, this is still in med school. She talks about match day. Match day is when you find out, when you're finishing med school, where do you go for residency, for training. And she vividly remembers the day and the contents of the envelope, which she opened in March 1957, informed her that she had been matched with Philadelphia General Hospital. PGH used to be right across the street from where we stand. And so that's her journey from St. Paul to Philadelphia. And I'm going to stop here because you're going to hear a lot of other memories from her time in Philadelphia. And so I'd like to call up first Chad Huff to share some memories.